So today, lads, we're going to be talking about Sue Bird and something she has said recently about the great Caitlin Clark, one of the best rookies ever, and somebody who, like, without question has, like, the argument was Sue Bird was the best rookie point guard ever. That's no longer an argument. That is Caitlin Clark. And to be fair, Sue Bird is someone that said nothing but positive things about Caitlin Clark. And before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're gonna need you. We're gonna need you guys to subscribe to hit 40,000 subscribers, because by the time this video is uploaded, we're gonna be under the 40k. But anyway, let's look at this video right here, or like, let's talk about this right here. So, it is a talk about Clark raised 11.1 million in 2024. And the ironic thing is, 11.1 million, 0.1 million of that was her WNBA salary. It says a slam dunk for WNBA growth. She's not just redefining what it means to be a phenomenon, she's rewriting the entire financial playbook. I don't think any WNBA player has officially, well, I don't know how official these are. I don't know how much of this is estimates, because they're hardly auditing all the players they put on these lists. But they've, like, nobody has ever been listed as having more than, like, I think 7 million or something is the highest for a WNBA player before. But it's also, we're saying, Sue Bird didn't hold back on what this means for the league and Clark's future. She's kind of a unicorn of women's basketball, she said during a recent discussion. But what's exciting is that brands are recognizing her value and, by extension, the value of the W. This isn't just about Caitlin, it's about breaking down doors for the entire league. Honestly, it's like a perfect alley-oop for the future of women's sports. And that's the thing where it's like, I think that anyone that's been smart about this whole situation, anyone that has looked at it from the standpoint, and in her defense, like, Sue Bird has, like, you can dislike Sue Bird all you want, and you can maybe take some quotes, not even out of context, some even within in context aren't the, maybe don't sound the greatest, maybe aren't the most favorable, but the reality of the situation is that if somebody is on a podcast, if somebody's giving takes, if somebody's talking about something, you're not going to agree with everything they say. And, like, the issue is, in the year of 2024, if you don't agree with one thing someone says, or you don't agree with a stance somebody has, they're automatically the worst person in the world. And look, that's the social media landscape we live in. Let's be real. If you give an opinion on anything that is not the prevailing opinion of the people that are watching, they're going to stop. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. And yeah, so move over Steph Curry, brands like Nike, Gatorade, and every tech startup wants to look progressive and have hopped on the Caitlin Clark Express. Marketable, talented, and she's a walking highlight reel. I think that's literally the biggest difference between Caitlin and anyone else, is the fact she's a walking highlight reel. I think there are a lot of WNBA players that are marketable, but they're not walking highlight reels. Like, I think for a lot of brands, for certain demographic, Angel Reese is one of the most marketable players in the league, and she is not a highlight reel. Fee Collier is incredibly marketable, not a highlight reel. Arike Gumbawale is marketable in a highlight reel, and I think that as time goes on, she'll end up one of those players that gets pushed a lot. And we're seeing that where it's like, and then there are good players that are neither. I'm not going to list those names, but that aren't highlight reels, that are really good players but aren't highlight reels, aren't particularly marketable because they piss off more people than like them. But it says here, Caitlin Clark's hefty bank account was likely influenced by her decision. Can you blame her? If someone handed you 11.1 million, would you risk injury playing pickup games, even if it's for an elite league? So, obviously, talking about Unrivaled. And I actually think that that's a good point. That she's getting all these brand deals because she said no to Unrivaled. Like, that is a genuine point. And Sue Bird's crystal ball, or, well, what this means for W, Clark's success isn't a personal win, it's a billboard sign. The WNBA's marketability is skyrocketing. As Bird pointed out, Clark's massive visibility is funneling attention and money into the league. Brands aren't investing in her, they're investing in what she represents, a future where women's sports are finally taken seriously. And I will always say this, like, the boom in women's sports happening with Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark is part of the reason for the boom in women's sports. But, like, the boom in women's sports if you guys watch, like, the football, the El Clasico had nearly 100,000 people in 2022. That's sort of a boom in European sports and over here. And obviously tennis had that boom realistically long before Caitlin Clark with Martina Navratilova and those type of players. Sorry, did I say Caitlin Clark before Serena Williams? Jesus. And tennis is maybe one of the exceptions, and maybe gymnastics. But as far as women's team sports goes, and I think in a lot of ways it's because a lot of people have become disenfranchised with men's team sports because money has just completely ruined the product. Like if you are a fan of a team that is not a Champions League team, you just don't have any chance anymore because they brought in a quote unquote financial fair play, which basically means the rich stay rich. There's nothing you can do. So you become a bit disenfranchised with men's sports, and now women's sports, because the money hasn't completely taken over it. And even these players making 10 million, that's not what the amount of money it's going to completely take over it. Like some of these players make 100 million a year on the men's side. But Sue Bird's crystal ball. Caitlin is a bit of a catalyst. What she's doing off the court is just as important as her performance on it. Brands are finally waking up to what we've known for years. Women's basketball is worth the investment. And Caitlin, she's a star, has proven that without a doubt. And I agree somewhat. And it's like, I think you need the catalyst to start investing. And I think we'll see it now with like the fastest growing brands. We're going to see people putting money into the WNBA, into women's sports, and it's fine. I think we're finally seeing the fan base make the investment worth it. Like, I have no doubt about it that if Sue Bird played in the modern NBA, that she would be, or modern WNBA, she would be one of the players that would be making quite a bit of money. But the difference is that the WNBA that she played in didn't necessarily have a Caitlin Clark, and you can't force growth. You can't force organic growth, and inorganic growth never lasts. And that's the reason why I think the WNBA's growth could be good, because it wasn't fabricated. It wasn't forced. It wasn't like the Saudi League in football. We're going to just buy everybody and you're going to come to watch, because 18 months later, nobody's watching that league. You can't buy growth, but what you can do is, if there's organic growth, kind of hope that lasts. And I do think it's going to last, because there is organic growth when it comes to a Caitlin Clark, when it comes to an Angel Reese, when it comes to a Juju, when it comes to a Paige. And ironically, when we're seeing Paige, I think Paige and Juju had organic growth in the past. And ironically, when we're now seeing the media trying to push these as, these are the biggest draws, these are huge draws, these are next Caitlin Clarks, they're not even pulling as many views as Caitlin Clark's old school after Caitlin Clark left. We're getting more views than these schools. So it's like, when the growth of these players was organic, they were doing great. But as soon as the growth became non-organic, it became, oh, the media are pushing these, and it actually went down. And I do think a lot of the growth for Caitlin has been organic. And a lot of the people, ironically, that are anti-Caitlin Clark, because of the fact that she's being pushed, means the organic growth is even bigger, because people are like even more so on her side then. So I think Sue Bird is right what she's saying. It's like, and I think Sue Bird knows that, to be fair, I think she's one of the players who did make tons of money in her WNBA career. So she's not going to be as salty as maybe someone who didn't make as much money. And she's someone that's going to be continuing to make money because she's one of the all-time greats. So I think she can say this without being a little bit salty. But yeah, that is pretty much it. And remember, lads, subscribe. I can guarantee you that by the time you guys watch this video, we will have gone back down to the 39,000 subscribers. Anyway, I'll see you guys.